Hello explorers, thanks for joining us again and welcome back to another exciting and informative video on our YouTube channel. If you are joining us for the first time, we want to thank you for watching. In this episode, we shall be looking as to what China is really up to in the continent of Africa. We will be able to put the pieces together. We will explore this like never before seen. So we encourage you to watch this video to the end to have a better understanding. So without any more delay, let's just dive straight into it. Africa has become the fastest urbanizing region of the world, with rural migrants moving into cities, a clip that has even surpassed that of China and India. As the continent becomes one of the final frontiers of the fourth industrial revolution, the rapid transition presents big challenges, but also one that offers big rewards for countries willing to risk billions in an infrastructural building revolution unlike anything the world has ever seen before. And no country has answered Africa's call like China.
The third Belt and Road Initiative Forum for International Cooperation, which will take place in Beijing later this month, is an important milestone in the history of connectivity and cooperation, both at the regional and global levels. I am from India. Western powers are unable and also unwilling to accept the fact that the BRI has become the largest and most beneficial project in modern history of the world to promote common development and common prosperity. Therefore, they are spreading all kinds of false allegations to malign it. One such false allegation is that the BRI is not environmentally sustainable. Let me ask these critics, which global leader has been most consistently and passionately talking about green development, environmentally sustainable development, and socially equitable development? Undoubtedly, it is Chinese President Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping has given a wise new mantra, a wise new motto, which states, "Lucid waters and lush mountains are invaluable assets." This is true not only for China, but also for every country in the world. Which global leader has given a call for a transition from industrial civilization to ecological civilization? It is Chinese President Xi Jinping. He has repeatedly cautioned that man and nature should coexist harmoniously, and that if man seeks to exploit nature, the outcome will be counterproductive and humanity itself will become a victim. Which is why the Belt and Road Initiative has the potential to become the greatest accelerator of green development globally in the years to come. The other malicious allegation of Western powers is that the BRI is a Chinese ploy to subjugate partner countries into neo-colonialism. I can best answer these allegations by recalling a popular saying in India. It translates as, "A cat eats up 900 mice and then preaches religion." Who colonized more than 80 countries in Asia, Africa and Latin America? European powers. Who has been following the policy of neo-colonial hegemony since the end of the Second World War? The United States of America. China has never colonized any foreign country, nor is it practicing neo-colonialism in any form. To cover up American deceitfulness, its officials are saying that they will offer developing countries a better alternative to Chinese allegedly coercive and unsustainable lending through the Belt and Road Initiative. This is a big lie. An unprejudiced evaluation of the BRI projects shows that it has brought significant benefits to partner countries, be it Laos and Indonesia in Southeast Asia, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan in Central Asia, or Kenya and Nigeria in Africa, to name only a few countries. Let me give an example. The high-speed China-Laos railway line constructed under the BRI. 50 years have passed since the end of America's secret war in Laos from 1964 to 1973, when the US rained down more than 2 million tons of bombs and 270 million cluster munitions, making Laos one of the most heavily bombed countries in world history. Even now, these cluster bombs are still being found. During the construction of the China-Laos railway line, the Chinese were helping locals build infrastructure to pave the way for economic development, while the bombs that the US military dropped continue to threaten lives and kill innocent people. Truly, the cat that ate up 900 mice is now preaching religion to the whole world. The world should beware of this deceitful cat.
We shall be looking into these from different angles. By 2050, Africa's 1.1 billion persons population is slated to double, with 80% of the growth happening in cities, bringing the continent's urban headcount up to more than 1.3 billion. The population of Lagos alone is growing by 77 people per hour. According to McKinsey's research, by 2025, more than 100 cities in Africa will contain over 1 million people. Moving forward, with this breakneck pace of urbanization comes many unprecedented economic opportunities. The IMF recently declared Africa in previous years the world's second fastest growing region, and many are also predicting that it is well on the way to becoming the 5th trillion economy, as household consumption is expected to increase at the rate of 3.8% yearly, clipped to over 2.1 trillion by 2025. The attention of the world is now drifting towards Africa, with comparisons to the 1990s era of China are no longer coming up to radical projections in different areas. China has likewise become the central player in Africa's urbanization push, as a huge percentage of continent's infrastructure initiatives are being driven by Chinese companies or backed by Chinese funding. In other areas, right now, you could say that any big project in African cities that is higher than 3 floors, or roads that are larger than brake kilometers, more likely to be built and engineered by Chinese. It is unambiguous to speak that looking at those different infrastructure, according to experts in different areas, considering that China has expanded its reach in several areas, even before the Belt and Road Revolution that China exerted in the continent was formally announced in 2013. China was making major strides into African urban development sphere. When the Communist Party of China first came to power in 1949, it was virtually completely unrecognized by pretty much every other country in the world, most of whom favor Republic of China, the former government that the Red Army chased away to Taiwan. But China began lobbying Africa extensively, getting the People Republic recognized one by one and each country in the continent. Before long, those political commitments were being repaid in connected steel, and China started building railroads and other hospitals, universities, stadiums throughout the continent of Africa. However, in considering this, there were other reasons for China's early partnership with Africa. Even though the colonial powers were largely gone or even the way out, the continent was still the same stockpile of natural resources it always has been, and China wasted no time to stepping into the power vacuum, laying the political and economic inroad that have given Beijing the advanced position it has today. If you are new to this channel, we will encourage you to subscribe and share our videos with your different network. China is now Africa's biggest trading partner, with Sino-African trade topping over 200 billion per year. According to McKinsey's research, over 10,000 Chinese-owned firms are currently operating throughout the African continent, and the value of Chinese businesses since 2005 amounts to more than 2 trillion in the continent, with over 300 billion in investment currently on the table. In different areas, Africa has also eclipsed Asia as the largest market for Africa's overseas construction projects. This keeps momentum building. Beijing recently announced billions and billions looking at the Belt and Road African Infrastructure and Development Fund, and in 2018 a whopping 60 billion African aid package. So expected Africa to continue swaying to the east, and also economic ties with China more than numerous and robust in several ways. If you look at this, many questions are coming as to what cost this is coming to the continent of Africa, as China's President Xi Jinping once pointed out that inadequate infrastructure is believed to be the biggest bottleneck to Africa's development. Collectively, the countries of Africa will need to spend over 130 billion to 170 billion per year to meet their infrastructural needs. But according to the African Development Bank, they are coming up with over 108 billion short of in different areas. Closing Africa's infrastructural gap has been the obsession of multiple waves of colonists, and China is the next in line to reach into the heart of the continent with roads, highways, and also airports. From different areas, Europeans built infrastructure in Africa at the turn of the century, purported also for local economic development, but in essence of projects were unused for natural resource extraction. The predecessor of both the Nairobi, Mombasa and Addis Ababa Djibouti Railway can be categorized as such. Both connect inland regions with mineral deposits with major ports on the Indian Ocean in different ways. Infrastructure is what Africa needs most, and infrastructure is what China is most equipped to provide. It is not lost on many African leaders that hardly 30 years ago, China is a similar place and also now is a backwater country to economic and also hardly 2% of the global GDP. But over the past few decades, China shocked the world in the way that it used infrastructure to propel economic growth, creating a high-speed rail network that now tops 29,000 kilometers, paving over 100,000 kilometers of new expressway, constructing over 100 new airports, and building no less than 3,500 new urban areas, which includes over 500 economic development zones and 1,000 cities level development. Over the period of Chinese economic miracle, so to point out, China's GDP has grown more than tenfold, ranking number 2 in the world. In considering the different challenges that the country will face based on COVID-19 in different ways. It is precisely in this kind of infrastructure, indeed economic growth, that Africa is looking to grow as well right now. And many African leaders are looking to China to bring experience to their country. The central players in many of Africa's biggest ticket infrastructural projects, including 12 billion coastal railway in Nigeria, 4.5 billion Addis Ababa Djibouti railway, and 11 billion mega port and economic zone at Bagamoyo, and being developed via Chinese partnership. Since 2011, China has been the biggest player in African infrastructural boom, claiming a 40% share that continues to rise. Meanwhile, the shares of other players are falling perceptionally. To the point out, Europe declined from 44% to 34%, while the presence of US contractors fell from 24% to just 6.7% recently. The Chinese SOE, they are really taking over the market of infrastructural projects in Africa. It is true to say that everywhere you go in East Africa, you see Chinese construction teams, and different ways that you may consider this not being seen in different ways. Considering research association, investment in infrastructure, agricultural land, in several ways. The reason for this ambiguous presence and rather straightforward, as also to point out, many African contractors simply don't have the capacity for major development projects. So if you want to do a large-scale construction, you either turn to Western firms or to Chinese. But the Chinese firm will always be able to undercut you in terms of price. In different ways, China has transformed the African skyline. China is serious in doing business in the continent. From different perspectives, you could also realize that China is not just in Africa to extract its natural resources, but China is there to do business and also improve in several areas. We want to thank you for watching. If you are new to this channel, we encourage you to subscribe and share our videos to your different network. Let us know if China has made or done an infrastructural project in your country. What are the challenges in doing business with China? And what do you think that China's presence in the continent is all about? We want to thank you for watching. Hopefully we've informed you with regards to the presence of Chinese in the continent and what they are up to. Many will argue that China is in Africa for resources. However, China has also created means to also make an impact in terms of infrastructural growth and development in the continent of Africa. Let us know what you feel with the presence of China in the continent and how you perceive this relationship to proceed in the coming decades. We want to thank you. We're looking forward to meeting you. We encourage you to watch some of our informative video on our YouTube channel. We are looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Have a good day. Bye-bye.